Platform 6 is a home of a variety of tech startups. In fact, tech startups are the fastest growing and most resilient job creation engine throughout the whole continent. And the tech industry also seems to be leading the way out of the COVID-19 recovery. Here is a little bit of an introduction to tech startups in general. What's all the fuss about, and how is Tampere doing on international level? Enjoy!
All right, welcome. This is a small panel discussion about startups, not only in Finland, but also in Tampere, what the situation is like, what's the environment like, and so on. Without further ado, we go through the panelists and myself quickly about who we are. So my name is Tomi Terentjeff. I'm running a Nordic startup school accelerator in Finland and in the Nordics as well. And we are doing a lot of work in the ecosystem, helping entrepreneurs and helping the ecosystem evolve and become better. So heavily involved on the startup scheme itself and trying to help all the participants to understand what needs to be done here and to make startup grow faster and have a sustainable methods on doing so. And with me, I have joining Ilkka and Natalia. So Ilkka, tell us a bit about yourself.
So hi all, I'm Ilkka Kaikuvuo. I'm a startup enthusiastic person, Mr. Noisy, angel investor and founder of quite many companies. And I've been quite active here in Tampere region and in Finland, sparring the startups, trying to find the secret to growth and to actual growing the startups as they go so that they will bring the revenue in too. But that's my stuff.
Right, thanks Ilkka. Natalia?
Yeah, hi, I'm Natalia, CEO and co-founder of Chaos. It's a startup based in Helsinki and focused in analytics and in real estate. And I'm also part of the council in Tampere. I sit there as a council member and I have been part of some boards of urban planning committees and such. Also in the Smart City committee. So yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Welcome both. Let's get right into it. So there is to me a lot of fuss about in the startup ecosystem as whole. What's your thinking that how are we doing here overall? Since there seems to be a lot of money coming into the startups, then it seems to be overall investment seem to be growing. But what are your thoughts about the ecosystem as whole in Finland and in Tampere region? That what kind of school grade would you give on the ecosystem that we are working in? How are we doing in a wider scale, and what are your thinkings on where are we going next? Ilkka first, maybe.
All right. So about the school grade, I'd say it's a 8+ if you go for the Finnish grading, and it used to be like I'd say 6 or 6.5. I think we are progressing in a small steps. So let's go back 10 years. The startup scene was overly hyped, and there was not that much content, but a lot of marketing and a lot of hype going on. Nowadays, when it's 2021, now I think we have a pretty good, solid ecosystem going on. We have also the heater and not only the hot air. So the heater or the ecosystem is going on, but we do lack the investments and we do lack certain persons growing the ecosystem, but we are getting there. So it's better nowadays than it used to be.
All right, thanks, Ilkka. How about you, Natalia?
Yeah, I was more critical maybe. I would give a 7. I agree that it has been progressing a lot, and I feel very proud that by reading some reports, I can identify Finland already as a forerunner in startups and tech. And I think Finland has a good image also over the world, especially with the legacy of Nokia and Supercell and so on. So I think it starts to have this ring that it comes to the mind of people like Finland is doing good in tech, but I think that based on the legacy, it should be doing better in investments as well. Overall, we are not at the same pace as US. So I expect more from Europe, but also from Finland. And there's still lack in certain sectors. I mean, investment in B2C companies is very high. Or maybe gaming industry, it's still a bit struggling a little, but still has investment. I see other sectors suffering from good angels in Finland, for example, real estate, which is now growing.
All right. So let's dig deeper a bit on the investment side, because that seems to be something that can be never perfect, because there's can't be just enough money in the ecosystem. And so what are your thoughts about the investment scheme in Tampere and in Finland as whole? Is there certain industries or sectors that seem to be doing better than the others? Because it seems that since we have a lot of success stories in the gaming industry, Rovio, Supercell, there seems to be money involved in the gaming sector and the expertise quite a lot. So I think that, at least in my opinion, the gaming sector is still like doing super well, but we don't have that many success stories in the other sectors. So what are your thoughts on the sectors and the industries what are doing well, and certain industries that are really lacking the capital and expertise as well? Well, Ilkka, if you go first again.
Yeah. Once again, so I just not actually answering the question. I'd like to quote. I don't even remember who, but anyway, I'll quote her anyway. So in Europe we have the lowest valuations and the really low rounds compared to the US side. So that's the problem in overall in Europe, and especially here in Finland. So the rounds they're not big enough, and the valuations are well, at least compared to the US, they are really low. Well, if you ask my opinion, perhaps the valuations are pretty okay, but yeah, we have a problem there. So the rounds are too small, and the companies are not able to grow before they reach the revenue phase. But well, yeah, the gaming sector is doing pretty well. I think the B2B sector is doing pretty well, at least on the software side. So we have quite many good entrepreneurs turned into angel investors that are helping the companies. But I'd say that we still lack the B2C angels if you don't count in the gaming sector. So just bring me a proper angel from Finland that knows her or his B2C sector, and I'll give you a bonus or something. But I think that's the biggest problem at the moment. So we don't have the proper B2C experts here in Finland. And if you want to build a B2C company that goes international or global, we don't have the expertise, we don't have the angels, and we don't have the VC funds for it. Except that if you are a gaming company, then we have those, but neither. If you're a software company doing B2C, then there's no one, basically.
All right. So more money and expertise needed on B2C software and so on. All right. So what's your take on this, Natalia?
Yeah, I haven't seen a good report that compares B2C or B2B. My impression is also that B2B is lacking a little of good investors. I still think that there's overall, I think globally, we need more understanding in the real estate industry. It's a very old-fashioned industry and one that has the biggest assets in the world, and also maybe the least transformed by tech right now. So I think that industry is lacking real good investors, and we have like a lot of companies that support entrepreneurs, but I don't feel that we have a good fund of investment for this type of industry. I also feel that the healthcare is lacking a little. I mean, in Finland, we have a very good system of well-being overall and supporting also health. And I think that in order to show to the world also Finland should be a bit more pioneer in healthcare, especially now during COVID. So we are going through a lot of reforms like SOTE and so on. And I think there's a lot of space to come with good ideas in there. So there's these industries that are still not very promoted and that bring a lot of value also, might bring a lot of value to Finland and the world. I also have to say that Ilkka has a good point that about the valuations. I think that it's widely known that we seek for less money, but seeking for less money is equal to more rounds. And that shifts the focus of the entrepreneur to funding instead of just like KPI production. So it's very difficult to try to keep the KPIs, grow the company, and then focus in very short rounds. It's a pain for the CEO or the founders. And in that, recently I was discussing with a VC from Palo Alto. There's a overhype of startups already there in Silicon Valley. And what founders also like global, funds and VC funds globally are looking for strong PhDs, like teams that have strong PhDs. And they are turning into Europe because Europe has a very high PhD population. So I think this is something that we should explore more in Europe level, and also of course like Finland, as we also have very highly educated people. Because as an early stage startup, you need a strong team. And if you have a PhD, then you have more trust from investors. So I feel that this is where Europe can become an asset, and can perform better than other countries as well.
All right, good answers. So when talking, then coming to Tampere, is there certain things that what do you think that we could be doing here to attract also the talent and also attract the investments? Because it seems that like what Natalia said, that we're not really getting that many teams coming from the university environment that have done already their education and have a reasonable base for starting their own company, because at the moment we don't really see those that much, at least not in Tampere. So do you have any kind of insight on what could we do, like make those like talented, smart people to be so crazy that they would join a startup or set up one, because we don't really get to see much of those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ilkka, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Tampere has been an industry city, and it still is, and I think that's an asset for us, and that's a liability too. So I think to get more good startups, we should encourage these students to start them basically at the university level here at the Tuni or somewhere else, and we used to have new factory and everything. Well, for goodness sake, we have the Nordic Startup School and the Red Brick Industry Accelerator nowadays, but we still should encourage them to take the risks, and perhaps the Platform 6 is something we can utilize there too. Perhaps some field trips to Platform 6 or something, so that the startups could and would also be a possibility for the students, not just something that they might do if they don't get the proper jobs from the industry, as I think is the case here in Tampere at the moment. Not perhaps in Helsinki anymore, but here in Tampere it is at the moment at least. So we should just encourage and make them more aware of the startup scene here too.
Any thoughts, Natalia?
Yeah, Manny, I hope I don't speak too much.
No, no worries.
Yeah, I have to also comment in here about spillover that you both commented before. I think that the more startups you create, you're also creating talent. And that talent moves to other startups as well, or then becomes like angel investor or so on. And I think Tampere is missing a bit that network. It's probably Helsinki can help like raise that, but it's not the same that you build your own network there. So it has to start somewhere, and it has to start in everywhere at the same time. So raising the knowledge for Tampere residents to become also angel investors. I mean, those who are in corporates or have been like start to also promote their own ecosystem. It's needed. So it's not only like the same typical angel investors that we found in HMA also brought to Tampere, but actually creating its own network. I agree also that Tampere is very focused in industry. It has been that kind of city. And right now it's trying to be the cultural capital of Finland. So I feel that it's still a bit lacking, like the vision of having, probably not trying to compete with Helsinki, but at least investing more in entrepreneurship and creation of jobs. And Tampere has a capacity because it has a university, and it's 1/3 of the population in Tampere are students. And not only Finnish students, but also foreign students. So Tampere's priority should be to retain those students. So I have to say that we started in Tampere, and then we moved very quickly to Helsinki. So there's like a loss there. And even our startup hires talent from Tampere that later moves to Helsinki. So what's happening there? Like we have to retain more. And one thing that it's very repeated, and it's very small, but it's like setting up English as a language is the first step. Like companies should be adding more foreigners into their payroll. And I think this is still an issue in Tampere. It's still like companies are not ready to adopt foreign talent. And lastly, this is a problem not only for Tampere, but also for HMA whole Finland. It's like, how do we attract foreigners and retain them here? It has been in the newspaper in Helsinki Sanomat several times. And even like Ilkka from Supercell is advocating constantly about this. And then the ministry is also following programs for this. So it's a big topic that should be discussed much, much more, especially now when we have to generate employment.
Yeah. I think that's a super good point, because when you think about the Silicon Valley, the whole valley is built by immigrants. So basically, it's a group of people that are not originally from the area but just moved there, and that actually increased the quality of the startup quite a lot. The diversity, not only that you have you don't only have many in there, but like I said, having a really diverse group of people that have their already an international DNA when they can't join in, because we see that we are building up this as this word term in puuhata in Finland that means that you are just doing a little bit of things, but your quality is not there, and you're not really, even if you say that you aim to build up an international startup, you don't have the DNA to do it, and that's really one of the key things. And second thing, what I want to be pointing out to what you said about the fundraising. We don't really have the 3 F's in Finland that much. So the family, friends, and pools are not really investing so heavily as like in the Silicon Valley. If you go there, you get your first 150,000 from your friends, family, and pools. You're not exactly going to the angels to do that. And in Finland, everybody is looking to raise the immediate first round from the angels, and then you get a little bit less than what you were expecting. And like I said, then you're spending it faster than you should probably, and eventually you're constantly in this fundraising mode. But one last question, since we still have a little bit of time, what are on top of these things that the challenges we talk about it, what are your things? What are the biggest opportunities and what are the biggest challenges in the Tampere region at the moment in the startups? Of course, the funding is probably one of the key things as well. But if there's like anything else about what could be improving, there's a lot of good points coming already. But anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I can go first. So I'd say for both points, it's a plus and a minus. It's COVID-19 because of the COVID, we are not based on Tampere anymore. So we are based on basically everywhere. So we can just go to meetings to Helsinki or to San Francisco or to somewhere else on daily basis. So I just had a meeting to somewhere else and I will have a meeting to somewhere else. So we should utilize that point now. So it's a tricky time now we are leading, but anyway, so we should utilize that. And then that's an asset too, so that we do have on top of the not so great investment seen here in Finland, we do have the grant system from Business Finland and from all the other governmental agencies, which is actually pretty well and good. So we can utilize that too now during the COVID time. But for the Tampere region, I think the Platform 6 is a definite asset now. So it's not exactly Mario 01 yet, but we will get there. So there's Platform 6, which is like a center for startups. And then we have all the accelerators and we also do have the angels nowadays. So there used to be a gap in the generations of angels here in Tampere. So we used to have the old geezers back at 10 or 15 years ago. So I know them, they're great people. And then there was a gap of like a 4 to 5 to 6 years. And now there's a sort of a new generation of angels and some of the old geezers are back too. So I'd like to see the angel scheme here in Tampere just growing up and finding its legs too. So Platform 6, COVID, and then the angel scheme here. I think those are the assets.
All right. How about you, Natalia?
Yeah, I agree. Maybe one challenge is the mentality of not invented here. We always complain about the Swedes, the Swedish guys, that Finnish startups have a hard market there. But I think also Tampere maybe has a bit that mentality sometimes. It's like things that have been tested in Helsinki, Tampere is not ready to adopt because they want to differentiate themselves. But differentiation doesn't come not copying good practices, but differentiation comes when you start being creative about the talent that you have. So, or exploiting that talent precisely. So, I mean, Nokia, it's like the neighbor of Tampere, and Nokia started there. So I believe Tampere has a lot of creativeness and the environment supports that. And now also making reference to Ilkka's comment about COVID, I think there's also, in real estate, there has been a record of transactions in residential now. And we see people moving from out of the city to more suburb areas, so unurbanized areas. I think that Tampere has like a competitive advantage there. Tampere, it's a good city. It has all the services that we need, and it has also a lot of forests as well. It's not as dense as Helsinki, and now they have the tram as well. So I think Tampere might benefit from that, like attracting or setting a cap for attractive residential prices as well. So as Ilkka was mentioning, you can work wherever. So I think having more taxpayers in Tampere would be also a benefit by utilizing this trend.
All right. That's unfortunately all time we had for today. We could have go on for a lot of more good questions. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give out my grade, and it's gonna be 7+, because it's gonna be. I'm thinking about in a Tampere scale. So basically, Tampere 10 out of 10 is different than being a Silicon Valley 10 out of 10. So we need to be playing to our strengths and like not do the same things that other people are doing necessarily, but think about our angle and what can we make things better. But because just copy pasting the code does not always work.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks Ilkka, thanks Natalia for being here, and we'll be seeing everybody, hopefully live.
See you.
See you.